Welcome, everyone, to the Elevator Show for the month of November 2024. I'm your host, Kirk Buchner, owner of NotInHallOfFame.com and the co-owner of the United States Athletics Hall of Fame, where I've got my co-host here, Chris Mouradian, who's also a part of that. And we're going to
Right.
encourage you right now. You can pause this. Actually, yeah, pause this right now and go, because you only have about 2 more weeks to vote on this. www.theusahof.com, where you're going to help us decide who is part of the second United States Athletics Hall of Fame class, because no one thought of it. So I did. Or Evan did. One of us did. We don't even remember. Hopefully, him and I never really get to blows, because then we're going to have to go through like virtually everything we ever recorded. I'm hoping that
Yeah.
that doesn't come, but
Yeah.
I don't think it will. But check that out. And Chris, how you been?
I've been doing really good. How about you, up there in the Pacific Northwest?
I didn't come here for the sunshine. I'll tell you that. There's not a whole lot of that here. They say it's going to be sort of cloudy all week, but I got to tell you, Winnipeg. I love living right in downtown Winnipeg. I know a lot of people don't say that, but for a hockey fan and the prices there, it's pretty good. What I can say is, at least here, I've got so many more options. I'm going to make it out. I'm going to do more. I'm going to get to a women's basketball game. I'm going to do something college related. Uh, our mutual friend Ron Katz was up here. We went to a hockey game. That was great. You and I think should we have a friendly wager? I don't know. Although I don't want to lay anything on Canada for the 4 Cup, because I think the United States is loaded.
Yeah, I think
Thatcher Demko, your Canucks goalie, is not even going to probably log a minute.
no, he's not even back from injury that took him out of the playoffs last year. So it's been a long struggle for him just to get healthy again. So yeah, something like that. I don't see the team allowing him to be more than a ceremonial third stringer to kind of come along.
Well, I mean, like it looks like Canada's best option is Sam Montembeau, which where have our great goalies gone?
They all went south.
That would appear to be the case, but you never know. I did tell Ron that because he said like your goalie Hellebuck, he's doing fantastic again this year. I said,
Mhm.
and I hope it stays that way, except for maybe 2 weeks in the winter.
Now he's yeah, he's off to another really strong start there with
Yeah.
Winnipeg, and then obviously Team USA once that rolls around.
Well, yeah, I don't actually have hockey on my elevator up, elevator down, and Chris and I, we don't
I
tell
don't
each
either.
other what we're gonna do, so we just sort of like let it all fly. If you don't mind, I just want to start this one,
Sure,
and
go for it.
and because I told you how many ups and downs I have, but I have a
Mhm.
what might have been,
Yeah, no,
and
great start. Let's go.
I'm gonna go with again our USA HOF, United States Athletic Hall of Fame. And something that you were really smart to, as I was tweeting about this, you sent me a message. Hey, plug it. And I did. And it was Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. And you know what? I'm mad at myself. I don't know if you watched it. Did you?
Oh yeah, we watched it.
Okay.
Able to
So
get the stream working for fortunately at that point. So
I guess I was lucky because I only had one buffer issue when Tyson was walking to the ring, but maybe because I put it on immediately, like even for like the main card, like when it all started.
I had it on through the second bout, the men's bout there, and that one streamed fine. The ladies bout was the one that like every time the match the round started to get about 12 seconds in and then it'd screw up for me. So I was about ready to jump on watch Antonio Brown's stream there on Next that night. Pretty smart idea there for that guy. Ended up with over 7 million people watching.
Wait a minute. That might be the first time that Antonio Brown and smart has been used in the same sentence.
I don't know. He's been quite the X user lately. So he's been out there and making a name for himself in other realms.
Might as well.
That's right.
Might as well. But so a couple of thoughts there I have. First off, boxing, never do three people in the booth. Never, never, never. And if you're gonna do third, look, I like Rosie Perez. I had a crush on her in White Men Can't Jump. I think I watched a couple scenes. I think you might know which ones over and over and over again. Uh, and she looks fantastic for 60.
Mhm.
I'm sure she knows her boxing to a point. But maybe just being a boxing fan and coming from the same place where Tyson is, maybe that's not a qualification.
Yeah, when this is your first step into live sports broadcasting for Netflix, really didn't put their best foot forward there with the whole production, with the broadcast team,
Mm-hmm.
the I don't know what you want to call them, like the between match analysis group that they had going on there, and they tried to get the names that people knew to try to make it seem comfortable or familiar, but it really did come off pretty poorly and show pretty bad on their part. And with some NFL games coming up here in about a month on Netflix, I don't know if they're going to have the same traffic as they did for the one time event there, but
Probably not.
yeah, they need to step it up.
Yeah, Mike Tyson's bare ass on national television was also not needed. And I guess it's sort of the segue into the fight. And I'm mad at myself, and I'll tell you why. Because I let nostalgia overtake me in logic. I always say, and this might be the only political thing I'm ever going to say on this show. I base my political decisions usually based on whoever seems more logical to me. Take that for what you want, wherever country you are. That's usually how I think. Logic told me Mike Tyson was going to get his ass kicked. Why? Because he's 58. Why? Because the last few times he fought, he didn't look good against inferior opponents. Why? Because he's just not the same guy who's mad at the world anymore. He's not angry. He's not pissed off. He's not looking to bite your ear off. He's more content to bite his own glove. And no, I don't think the fight was fixed. I really don't. It was just an older man against somebody who learned how to fight. Jake Paul can fight. Is Jake Paul going to be a champion of the world? No.
Yeah.
But the last person to beat Mike Tyson 30 years ago wasn't either. And I let the whole thing get in my head. Maybe you did too. Maybe you were watching. I don't know, Chris. Were you sort of were you watching for the spectacle, or were you hoping that this douchebag Jake Paul was going to get knocked out? Because I know I was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see, Tyson come out first round, 30 seconds in,
Mm-hmm.
drop him like a bad habit, and just be, have the memories of the 80s and 90s flood back from watching him when I was, a youngster.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was disappointing. I don't know. I don't want to believe that it was fixed, but
No, I don't think so. But I mean, like, it was more of an exhibition than an actual fight. If it was fixed, they would have thrown him another 10 million to take a dive.
yeah, I don't know. I think he's got at some point he's gonna have his own reputation he's going to want to maintain because his name is still synonymous with championship boxing. He's going to draw wherever he goes because of that, and I think if it got out that it was um, a fix, especially with all the money that was wagered on it, I think there'd be all sorts of legal problems with that. So I think it
No,
it, it
I think it's
was
legit. It just was an ugly fight to watch.
oh,
And
it's ugly to fight to watch. Yeah, that's 100%.
and even just watching them sort of like come down to the ring, and even like you mentioned, 80s and 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm old enough to remember Tyson's dominance in real time. I
Yeah.
remember, as do you, the destruction of Michael Spinks,
Mm-hmm.
who at that point was
I don't think
considered,
I've been knocked down at that point.
yeah, yeah, and he beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
He was everything until he finally got. It's funny. I think it was Tyson who said everyone's a tough guy on the online until they're punched in the face. Mike
Yeah,
Tyson,
everybody.
and you could even use that to Tyson. Tyson was never the same until after he got knocked out, like after he got knocked out by Buster Douglas, because nobody ever did that to him. Nobody, and he was never ever the same.
Yeah, it yeah, the mystique was broken at that point. He was no longer unstoppable. Um, and he kind of spiraled out of control there for a while, and he's kind of had a little bit of a redemption arc here with some of the stuff he's done with kind of being more
Huge.
family friendly. He had the cartoon for a while there,
Mm-hmm.
Mike Tyson Mystery Team, and the Hangover
He did a one
with
man show.
yeah. So
Everyone know he thinks you just think, oh, that's my crazy uncle who used to. Who, yeah, one time he bit someone's ear off. Like, no, he didn't. Come on, this guy, he looks tough and all, but no, come on, this guy wouldn't do that. But while he was walking into the ring, and I was texting back and forth with a bunch of my friends too, which just told me how big this was. People, I didn't even think were that much into this, but they knew that I'd be watching, so they wanted my take on what was going on. And as he was walking down, then I text one guy, I said, he's gonna lose. He's like, why do you think that? Because he's walking down the aisleway, like, what the hell did I do with that face on? And it was interesting too, because there's the two people who sort of like texting me, like two of my Canadian friends. And one of them, he was like really happy, like, did you see the boobs on these ring girls? Well, my other friend, she said, I can't believe they're showing ring boobs, these big giant. They came within boom boom of each other, and they were both right. I mean, at the same time, I mean, I'm wondering when you've got this amazing women's fight, does it really matter? Like, what are we telling the young women out there when we're still objectifying the women in the back? And then I thought, like, right behind them, like as they're sort of like, do
hmm hmm yeah, it was kind of a
yeah.
odd situation there with the ring girls.
Yet
For
at
the
the same
women's fight.
time, I was objectifying too because I checked out their Instagram. But
Yeah,
why? What do I say? But anyway, so Tyson gets to the ring, and then I'm looking at him, and then I'm looking at Paul's tattoos, which I'm not a tattooed guy, as you can see. I always said once I got in shape, I would. I said that 35 years ago. I'm still a trapezoid. But anywho, uh, but then I look at Tyson's face tattoo. You can barely see it. It's faded.
yeah.
I mean, his tattoo, that face tattoo might be, is that even, is that
He
older than
got it.
Paul? Like, when did he get that? He
I
was
thought
still
he got it
boxing
when he was out. I thought it was before the Douglas fight.
I don't think so. I think he got that after
After
that, and he was still boxing, and that was
he,
like
he was
back
definitely still
when,
boxing because
yeah, that was back when nobody had a face tattoo, and like, what are you?
yeah, yeah. That was a weird phase for him. Yeah.
Well, it was. I mean, because like that was front page news. I remember when I was a kid, a young adult. I don't know, but so I brought up Tyson for our thing because like if he would have won, he would have shot up for sure, and for because he almost made the first class. He's on the ballot for the
Mhm.
second class. I actually have no idea where anybody's standing. I don't have access to it. My webmaster does. So I actually want to be surprised when
Mhm.
on December the 8th, I'll probably send him a message. Okay, where are we at? Because this whoever's top 25 gets in. But can you imagine though, if Tyson wins that, he's got to be a lock, right?
You would think, especially considering how close he was last time,
Mm.
and I've obviously gone through the ballot a number of times, and there are just so many qualified. It was I think there's 125 qualified candidates on there. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at every one of them, and there's no reason not to vote for them. And the fact that he nearly made the top 25 with the 25 that did make it
Mm-hmm.
shows you where he was. And I kind of like to think that the momentum would be in his favor to push through this time. But you're right. Had that fight ended with him knocking out Jake Paul in 15 20 seconds, two or three punches, whatever, everybody went back to the dominant Mike Tyson that they remember and feared uh, back from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Although our U.S. Hall sounds like it's the name makes it sound a lot bigger than obviously we're trying to make it. It's a grassroots thing. So thank you to Randy Couture and Scott Hamilton who actually retweeted it. So, but
Fantastic.
thank you to those two. Uh, anyway, actually, I've dominated this long enough. I'm going to let you start off with. Do you want to do your up one of your ups? Because I think you got more.
I got more ups and downs. I got an easy one here to start with here. I'm gonna go with Joey Logano, our
Mhm.
2024 NASCAR champion. That's
Okay.
his third championship in the last 7 seasons,
Mhm.
18, 21, or 22 and 24. Um, so yeah, through the season, he had 4 wins to bring his career total up to 36. He is only 34 years old, so there is still um, some additional years ahead of him there. He drives for probably the top team in NASCAR there, Penske. So the equipment is going to be top notch. The team is going to be top notch. The pit crew is going to be top notch. So he's got a chance to really uh, set the bar pretty high here for those coming up after him, chasing him down to try to catch and eclipse the number of championships he has here. So wanted to I like to point out the racing winners when we have them here and uh, get them out there because they don't quite get the same kind of attention as some of the pro football, pro basketball guys we talk about. So
Mhm.
Joey Logano is my first for this month.
Okay. So I've got someone on baseball. I have a feeling you might have picked him too. I don't know.
I
Uh,
have a baseball, so there's a chance.
okay. Well, the awards are out, and I've got three baseball ones.
Okay,
And the first one I'm picking is Chris Sale.
okay.
Yeah. So he won the Cy Young his first great comeback year, winning the Triple Crown off an 18-3 season. Uh, how many? 225 strikeouts, 2.36 ERA. I was looking at him in comparison and to another player. Actually, there's something I want to say first. On one of my apps, it sort of came up where somebody asked him, "Okay, does this now put you in the Hall of Fame?" He says, "No." Well, Chris, you're a lot. Chris Sale, not Chris Mouradian. Chris, you are a lot closer than you're giving yourself credit for. This year now puts him at a B WAR of 53.4. I'm big on analytics and WAR and whatnot, but I'm big on peaks too. So when I look at his peak, and yeah, this was his comeback year after a few years of just being injured for the most part. But he from 2012 to 2018, these were his Cy Young finishes: sixth, fifth, third, fourth, fifth, second, fourth. That's pretty damn good.
That's yeah.
Won a World Series with the Red Sox, so he's got the ring. So I compared him to somebody who's on the ballot now, who is a returnee, and someone who was his teammate, Mark Burley. So Burley's got a B WAR of 60, 214 wins, so more wins, less strikeouts, 1870, but only in the top five once with a fifth place finish in Cy Young. And Burley is good. If Burley's good enough at this point to be here, and the biggest knock on Sale would probably be his lack of wins, which we got Felix Hernandez on the ballot. I can't wait to see what he does.
Yeah, he's blessed in the past there. I don't think he's gonna rise above 5% personally, but
So I
no,
do.
hey,
I think he will.
really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't see. I know he had a very strong start, but he also seemed to fall off rather quickly and precipitously.
Well, he's with Felix. I guess this might be well because we before we went on, we were talking about doing a big giant baseball podcast
Mhm.
with a whole group of people and debating all of them. I guess what I think Felix is going to do better, and I compare Felix Hernandez to Johan Santana, another one who had this powerful peak
Mhm.
and then trailed off. Johan didn't make the second ballot, but his ballot was tougher. So I think if some of the voters are voting for 10 people, they're more likely Felix is more likely to stay on. And if you're looking at Felix Hernandez, was Hernandez's peak better than Burley's? Yeah,
Sure. I mean, Hernandez has a Cy Young, doesn't he?
he does.
Yeah. So right there, I mean, you have at least one season where he was, considered the best in his league at his position there as a starting pitcher or a pitcher in general, I guess. Um,
And this
so
is not
yeah,
taking a shot at Burley, who I think is
no,
fantastic.
no. I think Burley had a nice career. He definitely one of those Hall of Very Good type
Right.
careers, in my opinion. And that's where I think that Johan Santana and Felix Hernandez kind of fall into that same realm.
Mhm.
I you're right. This ballot is extremely open. I'll use some polite language there
Well, yeah, I mean,
because
we've got,
you're on the ballot. You had a pretty phenomenal career. So, but yeah, there's a couple of new guys that jump right out at you that should sail right through. But the
well, the two,
returning, yeah,
oh, go ahead.
the returning group is there's probably one that makes it from there
Mhm.
that I
Well,
see. I would not sure how I feel about him. If I had a ballot,
Ichiro?
would I vote for him or not?
You wouldn't
No,
vote for
no. Billy Wagner.
Okay. Sorry. Well, I
Yeah.
wouldn't vote
So
for Wagner either.
yes, but I think he's going to end up with just enough to
Mhm.
get in on his last eligible year here
Well,
because I think it was maybe about 4 or 5 short last year. So I think there'll be some sentiment there to just get it done.
well,
Um,
I'm not big on Wagner, but yeah, I don't think he's even the best reliever on that ballot with Francisco Rodriguez.
yeah, Rodriguez had the probably has the more pure numbers because I think Wagner's career kind of started out in a little more of that transitional period with relievers where maybe they got in, an inning earlier to winning saves as opposed to the guys coming in and getting one strikeout with a runner on base to save, 1 run lead there, where it was a little less, little more effort on Wagner's part, but I mean, Rodriguez with the higher um, individual numbers with the season win or season save totals and things like that, and I think he does have the at least one World Series championship on there.
Yeah, he did that before he was even eligible as a rookie, where he came on out of nowhere
Yeah,
and was dominant. And you look at Billy Wagner's postseason accomplishments. Well, they stink. Bluntly, they're just
yeah,
all
it doesn't match up there.
that's for
Personal reasons on Rodriguez, he wouldn't be on my ballot, but yeah, so I do think that there'll be 3 this year, but that's like I said, we could say that for the rest of the
well,
podcast there.
yeah, for sure. Well, just like one last thing on that, which I'll probably bring up on that one too, in case that doesn't come together. It's such an interesting ballot too, because the two best players statistically by far, with A Rod and Manny Ramirez, are not gonna are 70% of voters are gonna say no. And one person who was trending up, I got to look this up. Omar Vizquel's got to be the only person in history to go from 50% to less than 20. No, no one's doing that. No
Yeah.
one's ever done that. I don't have to look that up. That has to be true.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the circumstances there why, but has anybody said anything since it initially came out?
No, but neither is he.
Yeah. No, there's definitely more than 3 Hall of Famers on this ballot, but obviously, for reasons, there are several that are just going to continue to get overlooked. For me, the interesting one is Beltran, because I think he's got a different kind of mark against him there with
They're
the
making him pay penance.
Astros. But
They're making him pay penance.
yeah, but he may end up at the end of it get out of it sooner than
Mm-hmm.
those associated with the PEDs or rumored to be associated with PEDs.
Yeah. But anyway, I'll let you. You got another baseball up. So
I do have a baseball, yeah.
yeah.
So William Contreras. So
Okay.
catcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. Stop stealing taxpayer money, Milwaukee Brewers. So he had his second midseason All-Star this year. He won his second Silver Slugger award. He does have a previous World Series championship with the Braves, and I did not realize this on one of our last previous podcasts. I had mentioned that I was kind of disappointed at baseball. They didn't have like the NFL does an all NFL or all NBA MLB team. Well, it turns out they actually do.
They do.
It's just not something that Baseball Reference ever puts onto their website.
Yeah, they do.
I've not seen the all
Well,
MLB team on there.
okay, maybe they only do that for each individual person who makes it. I don't know if they do that on its own on its own
Yeah.
page.
So
Yeah, but they do honor it for anyone who does have it.
yeah, so I had missed this since 2019, but so Contreras this year was actually the first team All MLB catcher. So he's younger. He's not young. He's going to be 27 in the 2025 season. He's still got 3 years of team control, so they don't have to look at um, having to extend him yet, although they may want to try to extend that out even further. But his numbers have just continued to go up and up each year. Playing in a little bandbox like Miller Park now is only going to help his offensive numbers, and so he's got a chance to kind of establish himself as a catcher that a hit first catcher that has a lot of good years still ahead of him. Like I said, going into his year 27 or age 27 season, he's got some more road ahead of him there, you would think. And so more of these awards, like a Silver Slugger, like a midseason All Star, like a end of season all MLB team, should be in his future.
I like that. Okay, so I'll stick with baseball. Since you mentioned age here at 27, I got someone else who's 27
Okay.
who hours before we recorded this put out on his Instagram just a little clip of him going in front of like 7 different microphones because he's a free agent and we don't know where he's going to sign. Probably when this goes up, we know where he's going to be. Toronto, my team is apparently one of the front runners. He won't be there, or one of the teams who are going to try. So it could be Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, rich get richer, who knows? But it's Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm.
He finished third in MVP voting. This is his fifth top 10 finish, fourth top six. I believe in this kid. I mean, 27, but at 52, yeah, he's a kid. I believe in this guy. I love just doing these little things. Baseball needs swag. I think you and I disagree on that. I think you're more of a traditionalist than I am.
Yep.
But I think if baseball is going to attract the young athlete, you need people like Juan Soto. You need players who are just going to maybe talk a bit of smack and just bring it. And he's that kid. Yeah, I use that word. The thing that could work against him is this will be his fourth team already. And when you bounce from place to place to place, you run into that scary Kenny Lofton, Gary Sheffield, Fred McGriff territory, where you're not really known for one team, and in baseball for the Hall of Fame, it really helps, probably more than any other sport. I really believe that. But Soto had another great finish, and in other years he could be an MVP. That was not going to go against that. Aaron Judge, his teammate, was going to get it no matter what, as he should.
Yeah.
But Soto is just he's a very special player, and one of my favorite players to watch. So that one maybe is a little bit biased. I could have went with some other players, but I just
No,
I hope he continues to even get better, and I hope whatever team he lands on, Toronto. I gotta hope he gets that World Series.
yeah, for sure. The four teams in 6 years, 7 years.
Well, if he changes teams, right? Because he started with Washington. was with
hmm
San Diego. Now
San
he's
Diego, Yankees. So I
so
guess yeah, he could resign with the Yankees. That yeah, obviously yeah, to make
potentially,
it
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's still three teams in 7 years. It does kind of raise some questions like why is he this ultra talented guy? Why is he moving around so
Well,
much? But
Washington was rebuilding. San
mhm,
Diego was going all in. He was eligible for 1 year. You know, I don't think it has anything to do with him, just circumstance. I've never
sure.
heard anything bad about him.
No, no, not implying that at all. But like you said, it does. At the end of the day, um, the Baseball Hall of Fame, the plaques have caps, and on the caps is the team that they're generally associated with. And so, if he finds a nice home here to settle down and can associate with that team, it may make things a little bit smoother going forward. But
Mhm.
I think it's just the economics of baseball nowadays is there is a lot more movement, trades of superstar players more likely to happen. I think so.
Mhm.
No, you're spot on with your analysis there of his career and his trajectory so far. He is a very special player, and he is going to break the bank here in a couple of weeks when he finally decides where he wants to play. His numbers, as you said, just continue to eclipse what he's done in the past. He ran into a situation where he just couldn't win the MVP this year because of what his teammate did. But yeah, I mean everything's there for him, and he's definitely on a very strong path towards Cooperstown.
Okay. And to you.
All right, I'm going to go with a coach this time,
Oh,
and we're going to go to pro football, and that
okay.
is Sean Payton. So Sean Payton is best known for his years with New Orleans. He
I've
did
heard that.
have, yeah, he did have was a 2006 Coach of the Year. Took over the 3-13 New Orleans team. Went took them to 10-6 the very next year to the conference championship where they lost to Chicago.
Hmm.
Um, but he did end up winning Super Bowl 44 and currently sitting with a 167 and 103 1 loss record. It's 619 win percentage. So it is extremely strong anytime you're over 600. Obviously, you're doing something right. Um, so he's on his second team now. He's with Denver, and he took over a Denver team that was just a dumpster fire. The record may not have been as bad as when he took over New Orleans. I think they were 5-12, but that was the team that was helmed by Nathaniel Hackett for a while. They had traded for Russell Wilson. That experiment out there did not work. They gave up a ton of draft capital in order to bring Wilson in and then pay him some big money that when they released him, they had to eat. So that hamstrung their salary cap position. But with some, uh, it's not luck. It's never luck when you find a player like Bo Nix in the draft a little bit later on down there. But to develop him the way that he has developed so far this year, kind of taking a little bit of a slower approach. He didn't start out with the first week of the season, but he's come in now and he has definitely established himself as one of the top two, top three rookie quarterbacks this year. Um, and right now, Denver is sitting at 7-5 and in a playoff spot. And I think you have to look at somebody coming in and whipping that team into shape the way Sean Payton is known to do. He's a no nonsense coach. He's not gonna put up with players that are not gonna give him 100% effort. The one thing he does have going against him, obviously, is the 2012 season where he was suspended because of the whole Bounty Gate situation. So he does have to kind of overcome that. I think in order to be seriously considered for the Hall of Fame. But with one turnaround and extremely successful run with New Orleans, including a Super Bowl win, and now some pretty good groundwork foundation laid with a Denver team with a young quarterback that seems like he gets it and has the system fits him. I think there's a chance there for for Sean Payton to take Denver to some to the playoffs this year and potentially further on as that team starts to grow and add talent.
Obviously, as a Saints fan, I'm very big on Sean Payton. Question for you, though.
Sure.
Do you think that, the 1 year suspension hurts him that much? Like we just talked about Carlos Beltran sort of like being
Mm.
tapped for cheating and whatnot and being sort of held back. But with football, I don't think anyone will give a flying crap when they're in that room about anyone who got popped for a 4 game suspension for PEDs.
Sure.
Now, with me as a Saints fan, I'm a little bit biased, and I'd like to talk to Saints Nation and see if they sort of agree with me. Because the way I sort of took
Hmm.
it like, okay, yeah, it sort of sucks. Yeah, but we got whatever he did worked. We got a Super Bowl. Yay! I'll take it.
Sure. Obviously, it's something that's going to get mentioned. Somebody's going to bring it up,
Mhm.
and whether that sways the room or not, it may sway one or two voters. Who knows? There may be some younger purists that get on there that think that kind of thing is just a bridge too far for them, despite what he's done. But I think overall, maybe it slows him down. I think just having the one Super Bowl win is, I don't want to say a knock against him because obviously you won a Super Bowl,
Mhm.
but it does seem like you need to have a little more success than that to around you and doing it now with two teams. I think that really raises his profile a little bit more than just if it had been just a single run with New Orleans.
Well, so let's throw this out there too. So Chris and I, we have our little football chat group on X, and Ron Borges put out this article that was sort of shared to our group where there's a lot of momentum on Jim Tyrer.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who aren't aware, which probably isn't too many people watching this, but if you're not, Jim Tyrer, from what we know, oh, not what we don't know that for sure, but likely he had CTE. And from everything we sort of learned about him, and especially from this article, it was just fantastic. Talking to the kids, to his family, and just like pretty much everything that sort of built up to it. He killed his wife and himself at the age of 41, was it? I think.
It was shortly after he retired because he hadn't been out of the league very long. So yeah, I think it was 41.
Yeah. And if you look at an actual football resume of anyone on a senior list, you're hard pressed to find somebody better than him.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, there's definitely a discussion to be had. If this can sort of sway, and with what we've learned about brain injuries and CTE, despite what he did, and also because it's not like we have any real time footage of it, just newspapers. I mean, being in the shot, the bit of the anonymity that a lot of offensive linemen, which he was, sort of existed, unless you're Jason Kelsey these days, you know, if he gets in, if he sort of like pushed through as a senior finalist, and then by some, I don't want to say fluke, but it's going to be hard to convince some people there. I'd be a hard one to convince, admittedly, because of that. I mean, that like I can overlook a lot of things. Killing your wife, I don't know, but let's say he gets in. Does that set make the bar a lot easier for people who've been popped for other things? I would think.
I don't know. Based on scenario, your first instinct would be, yeah, it should make it easier. I mean, if this guy can get in with having this on his resume, what is the year suspension for um, paying players to try to injure other or paying players on your team to try to injure other players on the other teams, cause CTE in some cases.
Hmm.
Um, it's yeah, I mean, it's kind of been a a weird ride watching this kind of go through it. First off, he's been eligible for what 50 years.
Uh, I don't even know how long. A
Yeah.
long
So
time.
yeah. So it's been at least 40 years, we'll say, um, that he's been eligible, and he's never really been anybody that's ever made any kind of list that's been made public. Now, obviously, he's been
He
nominated
was a
because
finalist as on a modern at one point, I think. And then it happened, and then he was taken off. Well, not taken off. I don't think they ever went through. I could be wrong on that. Actually, while you're talking about that, just
sure,
take yeah, I'll look to verify.
sure, and so to have somebody that really had kind of been put off to the side because of this, all of a sudden now with the new format, kind of bubble up to near the top of the list here to be somebody that's being discussed as potentially a finalist here in the senior pool, and then um, as you say, a football resume that puts him into the category where he should be considered for Canton. It's interesting, and if he does finally make it through, and they decide after however many years it's been that they can now look past it, understanding that there was something else maybe in his going on with him medically that wasn't they weren't aware of at the time. It it could make things different going forward for players or coaches or executives that have a mark against them.
Okay, so I
So it'd be
looked.
interesting to see where this goes.
Yeah, so I just looked that up. So I was right. So let's see, hold on. He died in 1980. He was a finalist for 1981. When did he die? Because like I wonder if that came out after. When did what in between all that?
But yeah,
September
in 1980, yeah, that was
15th. Okay. So I mean, I guess they had him as a finalist in his first year of eligibility or second for eight in the second year of eligibility after he did that, and then it was never seen again.
sure. Which yeah, I mean, obviously the other one that everybody points to here with the Pro Football Hall of Fame is what went on with O.J. Simpson
He
after
was already in.
right after he had already been inducted. There was talk of does he get the bust removed, things like that. Obviously, that did not happen.
Still on the
So
Buffalo Bills Wall of Fame too.
yeah, so who, it's going to be interesting here, and we'll find out in about a month whether he's one of those finalists there.
Yeah. Okay. So I've all right. So I got one more up and then a weird down.
Yeah, so I got another up and I got a down that I can discuss too.
Okay.
So kick it over to you.
Okay. So my up is Mookie Betts
Okay.
from the Los Angeles Dodgers championship team. There is a lot of players on this that you can be very happy for, but I was doing a deep dive in Betts. I didn't realize how close he was already. So this is his third World Series win. He's already his BWAR of 69.6 is already 1.5 behind the average right fielder. He's still relatively young, 32. He
Mhm.
gets if he gets 4.4 in BWAR in 2025, he'll be in top 10. He's just like one good year away from locking himself in. And even then he might not even need that.
Sure, sure. Yeah. No, he's obviously got himself in a nice position here already. And
He still received MVP votes this year, like finished 13th. Like I don't know that he's got that much more left in him, but if he's still 80% of his peak over the next few years, it's just then going to be a matter of what ballot, first, second, or third, or fourth. Uh, Mookie, I think, is probably the biggest winner on that loaded team. I think last month I had Freddie Freeman up there,
yeah,
but
you did.
I didn't want
Yep.
to repeat it, so I just went with one of his.
Teammates there.
Actually when we did that, the Dodgers hadn't won it yet, but we were
No,
pretty
but he
sure
had
they would.
the whole Grand Slam walk off
Yeah,
Grand Slam there. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's Mookie's a very very good one there. I the thing I was gonna mention too, he obviously has a chance for another World Series or two win there with the Dodgers because as you mentioned, that team is loaded. Don't see them needing to move up salary at any point here in the next few years. In fact, they're probably looking to still add on. So
Well,
who knows
Otani's
where they could end up?
deferring, right? Deferment helps.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And if they could talk somebody else into doing that, and bring in a Juan Soto that is willing to defer money, where they go from there, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Cool. All right. Well, I have one more I want to discuss, and that's we're back to NFL again,
Okay.
and it's kind of a little bit of a three-headed discussion here, and that's what I think is kind of three of the most likely MVP candidates right now, and that's Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and Saquon Barkley.
I almost went with Barkley as one. I was holding off for a month,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So, so we have Lamar is probably having the best season as a quarterback for Baltimore.
Hmm.
Derrick Henry came in as a free agent from Tennessee and has been exactly as they had expected him to be. Basically, the uh, top one or top two running backs, depending on your opinion of between him and Saquon Barkley. So, if you were to ask me right now, I think Derrick Henry has done enough that he's a Hall of Famer.
This is the year that that'll put him over. Yeah.
With the 10,000 yards, the 100 touchdowns, I think he's raw numbers. He's there. Lamar Jackson, he's already got two MVP awards. Doesn't have a Super Bowl championship, but does have the raw numbers too. Where I think with the MVPs, if he doesn't get a Super Bowl championship, he may need that third MVP to really kind of clinch it.
Hmm. Yeah. Or well, he might be in that weird Dan Marino territory, right? I mean, Marino
He could be.
never won World Series. Nice, Kirk. Never won a Super Bowl, but uh, and Marino, who we can also vote for in the United States Athletics Hall of Fame, vote for now at www.theusahof.com. See what I did? Uh, but Marino is just Marino never had another weapon like this.
Mhm.
So I think there's a little bit more pressure than on Jackson to do this, especially in the weird AFC. Buffalo might be higher up on the food chain. Buffalo is always vulnerable in the
Mhm.
playoffs. We've seen that. Kansas City has been vulnerable all year. The weirdest 9-1 team I've ever seen.
Yeah. But you just learn how to win, and that's kind
Yeah.
of where they're at. They just don't know how to lose. So,
You know what I like about Saquon though,
mhm.
when you bring him up, he's also done that one thing that will be played forever, a replay where he did a reverse leapfrog.
Yes,
I've only
that was,
ever seen that in professional wrestling. I have never seen anyone do that.
I didn't see anyone
How
try to do that.
how how you even have the instinct to do that? It is in some ways far more impressive than I'm thinking. Because I had two thoughts. One, talk about someone who's a murderer, Jimmy Snuka, doing that. Second, Odell Beckham in that Monday Night Football leap where he caught a leaping ball with two fingers.
Right.
And the meme came out after before we even called them memes, I think, where it was if OBJ was there at 9/11, he would have caught the planes.
Yeah. But uh,
I,
so
yeah,
the problem I look at here is Jackson and Henry being on the same team. They may end up hurting each other when it comes to balloting.
so then Saquon could sort of like jump up. He just had that
Exactly.
as we're recording this. He just took over the rushing lead with a
Hmm.
250-yard game. With the Giants also imploding,
Yes.
Barkley and the Eagles just playing so incredible. And there's another team we just talked about. If anyone can maybe knock off the Lions, but,
Mhm.
well, here's a team that's sort of been close before.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, they're doing what they need to do as far as when they play the teams that they're supposed to beat and beat them soundly. They're playing them and they're beating them soundly. So they're going to be a tough out for anybody come January, February.
And the shame here is, although someone's going to have to explain it to me, why there's an MVP and the offensive player MVP, offensive player of the year, how can they be different? Someone will have to explain that to me, but often the MVP seems to go to a quarterback. So let's just say it's still Lamar's to lose, especially considering Jared Goff had that 5 interception game, which
Mm-hmm.
sort of knocked him off that conversation. Now with Barkley's now overtaking for that OPOY, I would think. So
I,
after so if Henry keeps up what he's doing, what a shame that he may not win that.
yeah, he may end up missing out on both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they win the Super Bowl, and I'm sure that would soothe his
I'm sure it would.
misery.
It
Um,
would.
but yeah, so just kind of the interesting. What I kind of see is the top three there. Then you obviously Josh Allen's going to be up there, Jared Goff's going to be up there, but I don't think either one of them's quite had the quarterback season that Lamar has had just so far. So I was kind of looking at it, the thing is of those three, who needs the MVP the most? I think it'd probably be Saquon.
At this stage, yes.
Yeah. So that would be the one. He'd be the one out of there that this would help their candidacy the most. And if you look at Lamar and Derek potentially hurting each other with the voting, which ones, how much is as Derek Henry allowed Lamar to be a better quarterback, and how much has Lamar being a better quarterback helped Henry be able to run through bigger holes and score more touchdowns? You can start to see where the arguments could be made there, where somebody like I don't want to say having a lesser season because obviously he's having a damn good season, but where Saquon Barkley could sneak up in there and end up with the award at the end of the day.
And that's a dark horse Super Bowl, Baltimore, Philadelphia,
Mm-hmm.
both with young quarterbacks. And Lamar's still a young player who's already got 2 MVPs. That's crazy in itself.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, as good as he is, as good as a rusher as he is, then he adds Derrick Henry. Jalen
Mm-hmm.
Hurts, same thing, and he gets Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Uh, Lamar Jackson is whatever he 6 more weeks, probably 6 more games to play. Jackson's still over 500 yards already on the ground.
Yep.
Like I thought, I honestly did not see Derrick Henry doing this year.
No, no, I
I'm
kind of
glad he is.
surprised as well.
I'm very happy for him, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't see that coming. Barkley, this is the year that everyone sort of pegged for him when he came out when he came out.
Hmm.
It's incredible. Yeah. So I guess we both have downs. I'm
Yeah.
gonna. I guess I'll go first,
Sure.
and you'll get the hammer to close it off. Uh, you kind of took over my words because I was going to use a three-headed monster also, but this monster is bad, and we're going to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers.
I almost went there, but
Yeah.
glad you
Well,
did.
okay. Well, I've got three possible people that are elevator downs here, or really elevator pause. Joel Embiid. Ay, ay, ay. The Basketball Hall of Fame is very interesting in that we don't know much about who decides anything. We don't have a clue. And if you hear me mention that a lot, because I really want to know who decides this. How many people are there? Chris, is it you? And you
No,
haven't
it's not
told
me.
me yet? It's not okay. I'm gonna
Not
believe
me.
you. I'm gonna believe you.
Maybe it's Vinny. I don't know.
Uh,
If anybody know, he would know.
that's altogether possible. Vinny, can you keep a secret? I don't know. I think he might have told me if it was him. Uh, love you, Vin. Recording a few things with him tomorrow. But here we are, as we're recording this, the Sixers are the second worst team in basketball. Only team worse than them is Washington. I defy anybody who's not watching, doesn't have season tickets to the Wizards, to name two players on that team, on the Wizards. It's pretty hard.
I don't even know one.
If I were to guess a few players, I might not even be right. I'm not even sure. The Sixers, though, you can name piles of players on this team. They were supposed to be good, and Embiid is taking a lot of flack for this. He's getting hurt a lot more. Big men get hurt. That happens. But there's a lot of people calling him out, and this has been bubbling for a long time, that he's just not the guy. And and I forget who the writer is. I don't even want to give him the oxygen because he sort of called out Embiid for his work ethic, but then he went personal.
Hmm. I remember
And
that story. Yeah.
yeah, I don't even want to repeat it because once you're talking about a player's dead brother and then saying you're basically said you're setting a poor example to your for your children. That's a line you don't cross. That guy's lucky that Embiid didn't tear him apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a week later, Tyrese Maxey, it got leaked that Maxey, and it was kind of corroborated by Paul George, another person I'm going to talk about, that this actually happened. Like, how did this get out? Paul George is more interested in being a podcaster now, which isn't so bad. I let podcasts be. I highly recommend it. But you're now being called out by Tyrese Maxey, who's only been an All Star once, I think. I think
Last
only
year.
once last year. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're getting called out by somebody who hasn't come close to achieving what you have. Who's 6 years your junior, and Embiid just turned 30. I forget that he's this old because we forget that he's sort of that he missed his first 2 years.
She was injured. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're an MVP in the NBA, there's only one person who may not make it, and that's Derrick Rose after winning an MVP. But Embiid's already way higher than Rose with the scoring titles, with everything, and Embiid can get healthy again. I hope he does. Such a fun player to watch. But if your best player, and I've said this, and I don't care what sport it is, well, I think it's different in baseball. But if your best player is not your leader in basketball, you're in trouble. And here's a team that's never made the finals under Embiid. Sure as hell, they may not even make the playoffs as they're going now. Thankfully for them, they're in the East.
Yeah.
But Embiid's already probably going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't see how he's not, just by what the bar is. But it's going to make maybe some people who are in the I don't even know how many powers that be, but it would give you pause for thought if this is sort of the guy who is just not your leader, who's not leading by example, and he's starting to break. He's not starting to break down. He's breaking down. How many more good seasons left does he have?
Sure. And before we jumped on here, I was looking into the whole Sixers mess as well and kind of looked through, and I think 68 maybe the most games he played in a season in his
That sounds
career.
right. Yeah.
So obviously right there, you're already 14 games off the out in your best season. You missed 14 games. So um, health has always been a concern with him. First two seasons were missed because of health. Yeah, he's got. I like Jack's bus test. If this person was hit by a bus and never played another game, would he be there? I think he would, but I think right now he's pushing to be a first ballot guy that maybe he's not.
That's kind of where I'm thinking. That's why we got not so much elevator down, but elevator pause. Because
Sure.
again, based on the threshold that we know, I don't know how you keep him out, but I worry about him personally. I worry about his mental health, frankly, at this point. He's got to get the hell out of Philadelphia. That city will eat you alive.
Yeah, I think for them they almost need to kind of break him up there, but That's a tough call when you have a player as talented as he is to talk about having to move him out. But it's a mess there, and he's suffering because of it. But he's also part of the mess. So
Well, which then leads to Paul George. Now, nine-time All-Star, two-time third-team player, I believe. Very good player. Was he ever really the top guy? And this year, his stats have taken a pounding. He's not the same guy that he used to be. He's in his early 30s. He's getting old. He like Embiid. He's gotten hurt a few times. I mean, the fact that he came back so well from that leg injury, which is something that I could never bring myself to watch, is again one of the most incredible things that for a player. But it's an interesting thing. Like if you would have told me that the team that kind of mishandled him, the Los Angeles Clippers, would have a winning record right now, and the Sixers don't, because as we're recording this, the Clippers do. I wouldn't have bought it. I mean, the Clippers were in a weird spot. They were in this strange CBA place where, yes, they could have traded Paul George to Golden State and gotten some good players back, but they've already overspent. And because of the CBA, you can't do much with your roster for a 4-year period. So they get a bit of a pass there. So yeah, they could have got something, but they would have been in the same spot. Yeah, you're getting Kuminga, maybe Chris Paul, but Chris Paul, there's not much left in his tank at this point either. Paul George isn't able to lead this team either. And I think when you're a 9-time All-Star, you're going to get in right away. The only exception to that rule was Chris Bosh. I mean, there might be another exception that I'm not thinking of, but I think Chris Bosh, they held him back. And this is my conspiracy theory, because he was on that year where Kobe, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett got in the first year, and they held back Chris Bosh. My conspiracy theory thing is, in the last 10 years, they've changed the parameters for the Basketball Hall of Fame from 6 years to 5 years to 3. Also, they were really trying to upgrade their whole facility. That costs a bit of money. So I think you gotta maybe hold one person back. Just saying. Especially since we don't know how many we get the list of the finalists. How many are going to get through? Don't know. Why are the finalists number different than the year before? Don't know. Who votes on it? Don't know. What's the threshold? Don't know. Do they throw a dart? Maybe.
why are there more coaches than players on the ballot?
And that's not always. Who's on the international committee? Don't know. Who's on the direct elect African American Pioneers Committee? Don't know.
Yeah.
Who's on the contributor committee? Don't know. It's a weird haul.
Makes it hard to be a fan.
Hmm?
Makes it hard to be a fan of the process for the hall.
Absolutely, and that's probably the biggest reason why out of the basketball may have eclipsed baseball in some areas in terms of popularity. It certainly has in social media, that's for sure. But the Hall of Fame is still a major problem because the process, pardon the puns, as we're talking about the Sixers, is so we don't know. One thing they get right though, and I think I brought this up to you before, is we know when. They do a great job with that. I think that's brilliant. So it's the All-Star game weekend. We get the finalists out. When do we announce it? Final Four. Brilliant. Hockey should come up with something like that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
take it out
show.
of the summer too. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
But anyway, so Paul George, I mean, elevator pause, and then the one person who I didn't know that much about him or how much accomplished he was until I did a deep dive, and that's the Sixers GM, Daryl Morey. He is mostly known for getting the NBA kicked out of China when he made a tweet where he supported the people of Hong Kong. And LeBron comes out. LeBron is somebody I have mad respect for, and I think is a dolt at the same time. Both things can be true. And this is one of his dolt moments. I'm educated about China. Uh-huh.
Even a high school grad?
I don't I don't know. And even if he's not, I wouldn't even hold that against him. My father got as far as grade 7. He was one of the smartest people I ever knew. But LeBron's that guy who desperately, desperately wants you to think that he's brilliant.
Mhm.
And how do I know this? Because he takes pictures of himself reading books. Look, if you're taking a picture of yourself reading a book, you didn't read the book, and you're just saying. But anyway, neither here nor there. Maury got a lot of flack, and I'll give Adam Silver credit. A lot of times I can't give him credit, but I'll give him credit on this. He didn't kowtow to the Chinese when they wanted him to be fired from his position, which I don't know if he could do anyway, but through his words, he says that's not what we do here. But I didn't realize that from 2007 to 2020, the Rockets had the most wins out of any team except for San Antonio. That's pretty damn good. He's an analytic guru. He's an avid chess player. The guy might be a near genius. He's the Billy Bean of basketball. But also, like Billy Bean, he doesn't have a championship ring. And this is the team that he's putting around Embiid. And this is his first real failure. Because he took over the Sixers in 21, and this is bad. At what point will he maybe be fired for the first time? Nick Nurse, their head coach, seems to be getting a pass for all of this. I haven't seen anybody attack him yet.
I thought there was a story that just came out earlier this week where the owner said they're not looking to make any management changes at this time.
Which usually means they are.
Exactly. So, not at this time, but check it again next week, you know?
Yeah. But Nurse also does have something that Morey doesn't have, and that's a championship ring.
Championship. Yep.
Although for that one, I'll give Masai Ujiri the greatest compliment for that. But he basically bet it all on something on a roulette table, and it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi is somebody else I could have went elevator down or elevator pause, because who knows when he's coming back. I've been sort of holding off on him for a bit. I'll probably talk about him next month if he's still not playing. But I've never seen a team this loaded, this bad in basketball. The closest thing, although they seem to be sort of picking that back up, because I was looking at your Bucks. I was going to say your Bucks. I always forget you're not really a Bucks guy anymore.
Yeah, no, I grew up a fan with the team, but it kind of grew away from them as I got more into the hockey for winter sports, and really kind of lost interest in the basketball at the same time. So, but yeah, I know that, and actually that's where my guy comes from too. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to
Yeah, no, I'm sort of done
kick
there.
it,
Like with Maury, again, I have him as elevator pause, because maybe elevator down, we could say that, because again, I don't quite know how they're looking at executives for this. If he would have at least got to a finals, maybe with Houston or something, but I did not realize the success rate that he's had over the last 14 years. But at some point, this is the team he put together, and you got to point a finger there. Maybe. Although he might have the rookie of the year on a player he drafted 16th.
hey,
I know, I changed my mind. Elevator pause.
okay,
Yeah. It's he hit the red button, and right now it's just ringing and they don't know what's wrong. All right. Chris, you get to close
yeah,
the show.
all right. Well, as you mentioned before, I'm hometown team here, Milwaukee Bucks, and I was kicking around a couple of management potentials here, and decided I'm going to go with Doc Rivers.
I was
And
this close.
you
Yeah.
know, since he's taken over the Bucks, he has a losing record. He's currently one game under 500 for this season. Was took over a team that was well over 500 in 22 23, no, 23 24, and led them to a losing record. I just don't get it with him as a head coach. I know he's had some success. He's
Mm-hmm.
got a Coach of the Year award. He's got a championship with
Awesome.
Boston,
Yeah.
and I think that's more they went in spite of him more than he led them to a championship. Um, Evan would be a good gauge on that one there. But
I think there's something to it. I think that was, and you have to give him some credit because usually when a team you put a super team together for the first year,
mhm,
I mean, it takes a while to sort of judge. I mean, we saw that with Miami,
yeah,
when the LeBron team, but like that was a team that was completely rebuilt with Paul, and because like Allen and Garnett, that was their first year there when they won it all in 2008. Uh,
right. Pierce was
but
the existing member there. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I do have to give them some serious props, or Rivers some serious props for that. But at the end of the day, you've had Allen, Pierce, Garnett, Embiid, uh, Blake Griffin, who a lot of people sleep on, Chris
mhm,
Paul, Giannis, Damian Lillard.
yeah,
That's eight people. I don't know about Griffin for the Hall of Fame, but that's seven Hall of Famers.
mhm,
Again, we talked about Embiid maybe, but still, uh, and one title.
yeah.
And a lot of the people in the know, because I follow a lot of the people on YouTube, like uh, the Flight Mike, check him out. AM Hoops, all of them said this is going to be a disaster, and they were all proven right immediately. So, and those things are still up. I mean, like, we saw a lot of people questioning what the hell are you doing still with Doc Rivers? For whatever reason, his time has passed, or maybe he was never that good to begin with. Don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough read because he does have an overall winning record as a coach, and there's a lot of very good coaches that don't have winning records that are considered for the Hall of Fame. But I've never seen it with him as far as what he's been able to do with the coach with a team. Like I said, the one championship I think was a little bit in spite of what he did there. Um, Obviously, firsthand knowledge here with what Milwaukee has gone through over the last two seasons. They have severely underachieved, given the talent on that roster. You can point a little bit to injury because Chris Middleton, who's their number three, maybe 3/4 with how you look at Brooke Lopez, has been riddled with injuries the last 2 years. But um, you have two superstar players, but you have nothing around them really. You have a cast of ring chasers or guys trying to bounce back to earn that next contract.
Mhm.
And that's where I was kind of leading into to their general manager, John Horst, and wondering if, what has he done? You look back at the Lillier trade. I've been against that trade from the start. I felt that the only reason they jumped in there was to prevent him from going to Miami. Maybe, maybe not. I obviously we'll never know. But that trade has set their team back more so than the talent has that they brought in has offset. If you ask right now, Boston, straight up, would you take Lillard for Holiday? Do you think they would do it?
Or not
I
anymore.
don't.
Well, Holiday is another interesting guy too. When we talk about elevator up, because I
Hmm.
still sometimes will do elevators on the weekly show with Evan Nolan, the Hall of
Hmm.
Fame show. Just not in as great detail. But Holiday, I mean, who's when we're talking about a guy with I think only two All Stars, but holy crap! I mean, he's your consummate glue guy. If you want to
Yep.
sort of like do so much better around everything, he's just this great selfless player. It's Drew
Hmm.
Holiday. There's a
Yeah.
reason he's been on two championship American Team USA teams.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why you got a player like Derek White with the Celtics. Is he a top 15 player? No. Is he somebody that every GM would covet? Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Mike Conley of Minnesota.
Hmm.
I think he got like one of those lifetime award all stars, a token all star, like a few years ago. And Conley's just like if Minnesota somehow puts it all back together and wins the whole thing, I will I will I will set up the parade here in Seattle for Mike Conley. I don't know
Yeah,
when it will
he's
come, but
yeah, Kylie's a nice player. Definitely a player that helps a team win.
yeah.
Not just superstar player though. Same thing with Derek White, like you mentioned. But these are players, Drew Holiday. These are players that help you win championships. And
It's not even a shot at Lillard, right? Lillard's a great
no,
player, but
well, what's he won? He's got a
who did
lot of
he
nice
have in
individual
Portland?
stats.
Who did he have in Portland to get to two?
McCollum, yeah, uh, fair point. He hasn't had the talent around him, but now that he's got talent around him, what he's got a losing record.
That's also true. And then,
No, not quite, but
then how much do we point at Giannis here? And I love Giannis. Giannis is like
mhm,
the most fundamentally gifted player this side of heaven. I don't know.
yeah.
There's nothing he can't do. But for whatever reason, those two together, this is the best on paper player teammate he's ever had.
Hmm.
So when I guess I thought this was going to be fantastic for Milwaukee. Obviously, I was wrong in that when you would have been right if we discussed it back then.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah, so he's was so what how much is on him? So I think there's some on him,
hmm.
you know, but that's where I come back to John Horst again and kind of what has he done? He's kind of got himself into this. I think every GM in the NBA, I don't understand. They don't have they have a salary cap, but they don't really have a salary cap because every team is above the salary cap except I think Detroit. So it's just a matter of whether you're a taxpayer or second apron taxpayer or whatever, and how that restricts your ability to bring in additional talent. Um, they constantly been trading away future firsts here. Now there's talk that they're going to have to consider trading away Giannis because of just the team around him is just aged to the point where they are not
Watch him
contributing
wind
the way
up
they
in
were.
Miami. I'm calling it right now.
I know that every big market team, that the Knicks think that he's gonna end up there. Knicks fans do. Laker fans think he's gonna end up out there. He's gonna end up somewhere. Milwaukee will end up losing him.
I'm calling it Miami, and you wait and see what Spoelstra can do with him.
Yeah, what a real coach can do with him.
Yep. Both of them are our top, or were in that top greatest 15 coaches of all time. Interestingly enough. But yeah, Doc Rivers. Yeah, I think I've used him as an elevator down before. But yeah, and he was almost going to be again, but the
Yeah,
Sixers were just too awful for me to
yeah,
not rag
worked
on.
worked out great. You picked the Sixers, I picked Doc, and
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean,
they both made the show.
absolutely, and again, we didn't overlap, which is
No, we
crazy.
didn't. We did not.
That in itself is I don't know why that is. You'd think we were planning this, but we're not.
No, we don't talk other than what time you wanna record before we get
That's pretty
going
much
here.
it. That's pretty much it. Yeah. So I guess this brings the show to an end. Check out all the other shows that we do. The weekly Hall of Fame show, where myself and Evan Nolan. Uh, there's also Vinny makes the Hall of Fame case for. There's probably going to be six that are going to be reported in the next month or so. That'll go up. They're always really interesting ones. I think the next one going up, uh, probably someone you've never heard of, Dr. Robert Cade. You know what he invented?
I do not.
Gatorade.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so we've got some of that. There's actually three in the tank. I've got to send off to the webmaster. Three more we're recording tomorrow. Who are we recording tomorrow? I'll give you a sneak peek here on that one. Because I always got to research. When it's Vinny, you got to research everything. If Vinny doesn't know it, then God, I'm afraid. What are we doing tomorrow, Vinny? Vincenzo. Dun, 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 dun. Alan Amici,
Okay.
Dick Allen.
Okay.
That'll be good. Well, we better do that one quick.
Yeah.
And Murray Armstrong.
Don't know Murray Armstrong.
I don't either, so I better look who that is, so I can pretend that I know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, Dick Allen is classic
Yeah, he's on the
baseball
ballot.
ballot this year.
Ballot. We'll see. We'll see what they do.
Fingers crossed for him. He's pulling for him and Dave Parker there. Like to see
Oh, Cobra.
Cobra get in there. One of these guys, he's got the health issues now. Really like to see him get the
He's
award
still
that
alive. I mean, they waited
he
too
is still
long.
alive.
I mean, he
Wait,
died only a few years ago.
mm-hmm.
So this
I
is
think,
Allen's seventh kick at this can
yeah.
on the
I
veterans ballot.
I heard somewhere that he was like one vote away last year.
He was.
Um, or not last year, but
The
last
last
time he was
one.
out.
Yeah.
So
So
hopefully this year's is his turn. And like I said, fan of Dave Parker from way back when. And
yeah, but he snorted his way out, unfortunately.
well, it didn't seem to hurt Paul Molitor, so who knows?
Didn't hurt Paul Molitor's game though, did it? I mean, like you could see the decline in Parker,
Yeah,
then a rise back up in the late '80s when he sort of had a bit of a comeback.
yeah,
But
he was with
like,
the Reds there. He was second in MVP voting.
was Molitor snowboarding that bad though? Like, was he
He
was
was
never
in that same. I thought he was part of that same ring that the Pirates had going on at that point too. So
was he? I mean, I
I
just
was
he
young
was
at
there
that
in the
time, but
'80s.
that's
Hold on, let's
yeah,
see. All
but
right,
that sticks in my mind.
okay, we gotta sort that out before we sign off here.
Yeah,
Paul Molitor cocaine. What comes up? Dun, dun, dun. During the early years of his career, Molitor began using cocaine and marijuana. What? During the trial of a drug dealer, Molitor admitted. Okay, well, I guess he was. I don't remember that at all.
yeah. Obviously Milwaukee guys, so that would have hit more locally here, but
Was he suspended?
I don't think he was ever suspended.
Maybe that's why I don't remember. But there were so many guys going down for that. Um,
Yeah, late '70s, early '80s. That was the scandal back then.
I think the entire Kansas City Royals at one point.
I know the Pirates a
Yeah.
lot through their clubhouse, but yeah. So really hoping they take a good hard long look at Dave Parker and he's able to find the votes to make it there.
Maybe
And
we should come up with an all PED team versus the all cocaine team. So okay, so you got the all cocaine team. You got Parker,
yeah,
Willie
Molitor,
Wilson, Molitor. Now I didn't know that.
yeah,
Strawberry Gooden is one of the starting pitchers.
yeah, doing a
Yeah,
pretty good outfield there
yeah, yeah. Who did PEDs and Coke, and then they could sort of be traded halfway through the game?
that we know of.
There's got to be somebody who I'm just not thinking of. I don't know this at all, but it just seems like something John Rocker would do.
Yeah, no, he just called people names
Ill-advised
on the
interviews
subway.
with yeah, ill-advised interviews with Sports Illustrated. Why did you print that? You said it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It
Ah,
happened.
oh, it
It
did.
was there. It happened.
It did, yes. Well, with that being said, if you haven't already voted and paused earlier, like when we told you to, you can go and do this now. www.theUSAHOF.com. Help decide who you think is the greatest athletes in the United States, the greatest athletic country ever. I think that's a pretty safe statement. And I'm still
Sure.
pissed off for taking over hockey. But anyway,
I'm not.
I know you're not. Wait, okay. Now that I've done a hockey game with Ron, we
Yeah,
got to do that. You got to make a trip out here.
sounds good.
All
And
right.
as we're recording the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, just happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there that celebrates here in the States. And you know, enjoy the turkey, enjoy the football. We
I'm
got
pumped on first American Thanksgiving.
yeah, we got Lindsey Sterling doing the halftime show for the Green Bay Miami game this Thursday.
Like, who
So Lindsey Sterling,
is that?
violinist, dancer. one of the few people I actually paid to go see.
Oh,
So
I'm not familiar with her.
look her up. She's quite the talent.
Well, it's got to be better than when we sent you Nickelback for a halftime show
Yeah,
on a Detroit game.
there was a photograph.
Well, this is how you remind me of that it's time to end the show.
Amen.
Wherever you are, wherever you may be, sorry we put Nickelback in your head. Take care.
Night.